views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jamison Rabbit. I'm so pleased this week to be joined once again by our special guest, Steve Sabatke. Steve, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back. The first time that I was on the show, we reviewed a musical.
Yeah.
And now I'm back.
You brought another one.
We are reviewing a musical. So does that make me the Real Reviews musical guy?
Musical guru. Yeah.
Musical guru. Okay.
I know that I do have other guests who refuse to do musicals, so it's nice that you're willing to.
So I'm the only guy. Okay.
You might be.
That's fine. I'm fine with that.
Keep that in your back pocket.
Good.
So we've got a bunch of movies to talk about, some of them musical, some of them not. And I'm going to get us started with what we have first on the marquee this week. It is a film called The Protege. It stars Maggie Q as Anna. Anna we first meet as a young girl who is saved in Vietnam as a child by a man named Moody, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Anna has already killed a bunch of men that Moody had been sent to kill, and he takes a shine to this little girl and escorts her out of Vietnam. We cut to probably 20 years later, and they have a familial bond, almost a father-daughter bond, and he has spent the ensuing time teaching her how to be a trained assassin who takes out bad guys for money. They're a nice little team. They got a unit going on. And it's been pretty lucrative for them. And but they've also made some enemies along the way. And it's when someone breaks in and kills Moody and nearly kills Anna that she decides it's time to seek revenge. This isn't just a job. This is personal now. And the film becomes your revenge flick where Anna's always one step ahead of the bad guys. Meanwhile, she meets a man named Rembrandt, played by Michael Keaton, who shows up, and he's working for the big bad boss. And he's basically like a fixer for the big bad boss. And he's charismatic, he's classy, and he's dangerous, but he also has eyes for Anna. And we get a lot of flirting and a lot of fighting along the way. And it's your big budget action revenge flick starring a female star when you would normally see these, as a John Wick type of thing. I'm curious how this worked out for you. Your thoughts on The Protege?
Well, I thought Maggie Q was very good in this, and I hope that she continues to be an action movie star, but she deserves a much better film than this one. I thought this was pretty much your standard by-the-book action film.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a surprise to me because it's directed by Martin Campbell, who directed some James Bond movies, including Casino Royale, which was, that's a great film, the first one with Daniel Craig. He's also directed some duds.
Sure.
Green Lantern is
good.
one of them.
Those are very high and low.
Yeah, so this one kind of falls in between for me. I did enjoy it when Michael Keaton was on the screen. Always good to see him in a movie, and playing a bad guy was good with that. Although you could tell there was a stunt double in the fight scenes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Keaton's what? I think he's 69 years old.
Yeah, he's up there.
Okay. Samuel L. Jackson plays the typical Samuel L. Jackson role.
I felt like I just saw him playing this character in Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
He's the mentor. I mean, he can do this role in his sleep.
Yeah.
And every action hero always seems to have that buddy in a foreign country that can get information for that person.
Sure.
And this time it was Robert Patrick from Terminator 2. Looked really old.
He did not look like a great biker.
No. And there's some typical action sequences in the film, like she's running above the ceiling and the bad guys are shooting into the ceiling.
Yeah, just behind her.
Behind her, they missed. At one point, she grabs a fire hose and she swings down to the lower level. The story's fairly predictable. I thought the plot got a little muddy at times.
That's the exact word I have in my notes. It got muddied in the middle.
Yeah.
We're chasing after a kid for some reason, then they're just kind of like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it wasn't real clear to me what the significance of that was. There's a surprise in the film that obviously we're not going to talk about, that I didn't see coming. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. Yeah, I wanted to see a wow factor in this, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah, like I really enjoy Maggie Q and Michael Keaton on screen together.
Yeah.
I think they were fun. They're individually, I think they're really interesting actors. And I had a hard time with this movie of really getting invested in anything. It felt so formulaic as an action movie. And then it did one of the things that is like one of my cardinal sins. I can't stand in movies is when towards the end of the film, using a technique of giving us the backstory and the origin of a character through flashbacks.
Yeah.
And not, you find out what motivates them through flashbacks in the final 4 minutes of a movie, and you could have built that over the course of the movie. Instead, like, hey, here's why they act the way they do, and let's just do it in some flashbacks.
I mean, I think the movie would have been much better had it focused for this, because it looks like there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the first film, I think it would have worked much better had they focused on those early formative years where Samuel L. Jackson, he takes the child under his wing, and then
we saw that in Hannah years ago.
Yeah, and they do the training, and then they start doing the first, assassinations that she's assigned to. I thought that, to me, would have made a much better film.
Yeah. I was hoping for more. It looked like it was going to be a fun female assassin movie, and to me, it kind of turned out to just be a really formulaic movie. Fun enough, fun in parts, but really didn't give me a whole lot. So I think we might have, we might be close on our scores. What did you end up giving The Protege?
I gave it a 3. It's a little bit better than average. Points for Maggie Q. I hope we see more of her. It's not the worst action thriller that I've seen.
Sure.
But it's nothing special, and if there's going to be a sequel, and it looks like there will be, I'm hoping for better things.
Yeah. What did I end up giving it? I believe I gave it 2.5 stars. There you go.
Okay.
2.5, right down the middle. Not good, not bad, very average. Take it for what it's worth. If it sounds interesting to you, go check it out. But I don't think you need to rush out to see The Protege. The next movie we have, sir, what do you have for us?
All right. Well, it's the musical. I guess I'm the guru. So this is Annette, and it's a musical directed by Leo Carax, and it's on Amazon Prime. And no, it's not about Annette Funicello, although there were times during the movie that I wish that it was. Annette stars Adam Driver as Henry. He's a stand-up comedian who I thought was more of a performance artist because his stand-up, which you see a lot of in the film, wasn't all that funny. The movie also stars Marion Cotillard as Anne. She is a world-renowned opera singer. They are a celebrity couple. They're madly in love. They sing about it in the film, which gets a little annoying. They marry. They have a daughter.
We love each other so much.
Yes, yeah. You hear a lot of that. They marry. They have a daughter named Annette. And I guess I'm allowed to say what Annette is?
Yeah, it's been seen enough.
Okay.
This is what makes it weird.
Well, Annette is a wooden puppet that acts like a real girl.
Sure.
All right. So
Keep her to Pinocchio.
Yeah. So we found out later in the film that Annette has a very special gift, and I'm not going to tell you what that is. But before that occurs, Anne's popularity grows, Henry's declines. That causes tension in the marriage. Add to that, there's a third character, the conductor, played by Simon Helberg, who's best known for playing Howard Wolowitz in the TV sitcom The Big Bang Theory. He's also in love with Anne, and that figures prominently in the second half of the film. The story and the music for this came from brothers Ron and Russell Mael, who comprised the pop duo Sparks. Yeah. They've been making music since 1971. They're the subject of a documentary that's out now called The Sparks Brothers. And I don't know if you're familiar with Sparks music.
I am, actually.
Are you?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I've been wanting to catch that documentary.
And it's good. It's a very good documentary. They're a band that's just been kind of on the cusp of superstardom. They've just never been able to reach that upper level. But I read that originally the Mael brothers were going to make this a Sparks concept album and then take it out on tour, but they shelved it. They thought it was going to be too expensive. It ended up being a movie. And there are many times during the movie where I thought it should have been left as an album and not on the big screen. Felt that way through most of the movie, and then I got to the ending. and obviously we can't talk about it, but
yeah.
the ending to me kind of blew me away. It was pretty emotional. It was powerful. And it forced me to rethink this movie and cast it in a more favorable light.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of the more original movies that I've seen in a while.
Oh, definitely.
I really like that.
Yeah.
You also see the Sparks brothers or what have you make multiple appearances in the movie too as real weird characters, just in and out. But I think it's interesting as a musical film. Adam Driver doesn't do a whole lot of singing. I feel like a lot of his music is in his prose on stage as we see him in his performance.
Right.
He kind of is, yeah, he's not, he says I'm a comedian, but he has a delivery, a very drone delivery like Stephen Wright, and a disdain for his audience like a lot of comics have in the past. And I both Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard are two actors, like they're on my short list of people who I'm just mesmerized by. I'll see everything they're in. I think they make interesting choices. And I think that there's such polar opposites in this movie where he's dark. And she is very light. And it's like, can her lightness save him from his darkness? And you even, at one point, he comes off the stage and he talks about how he killed the audience.
Yep.
And she says, "My gift, I saved the audience."
Saved them. Yeah.
And I thought that was such a really telling way of how these two people look at life. And they're both in the public eye having this relationship, but their philosophies are so different on life. And it's a very passionate relationship, but I was blown away that visually the aesthetics of it are crazy. I can see how some people, I've been recommending this to people, like, you have to just check it out. Because it's not the
it's not
Protege.
going to be for everybody.
Right, it's not the Protege. You haven't seen a lot of movies like this before, so check it out.
It's not The Sound of Music.
You might hate it, but I was kind of blown away by a lot of the things in here, and for really just a three-hander, it's really just those 3 stars for the majority of the movie, and you see, Henry's character, Adam Driver's character, is mobbed by people throughout the movie. And the reasons behind the people mobbing him are changed throughout the film. And I just thought it was really interesting. And to your point, that final scene, it reminded me of a lot of watching Adam Driver in A Marriage Story 2 years ago.
Yep.
He has that one powerful scene. He and Scarlett have one big powerful, it was what got him nominated. And that kind of brought back memories with this one too. It was like, man, he can really deliver.
Yeah, and after I watched it, I was trying to think of some actors that could have played that role, and I really couldn't think of any. I mean, this to me was the perfect role for Adam Driver.
Yeah.
And it's not your typical musical, as I said. It's not The Sound of Music.
No.
If you are not familiar with Sparks music, the music's definitely on the quirky side.
Yeah.
The lyrics are very repetitive.
Yeah.
But that's what they do. I mean, they've been doing this since the late 70s.
It's unreal.
And it's not going to be your typical musical when the opening scene is where the cast and crew are walking down the street singing "May We Start."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I'm in for something different here. Mm-hmm. But I was ready to just write this off, and that could have been because my wife was kind of half watching it at the time, and she kept going, "What are you watching?"
Totally understand. My wife walked through a couple of times when I'm watching it, and she's like, she'd stand and stare at it, and be like, shake her head.
Yeah, my wife too. But when I got to that final ending, and I wish we could talk about it, but we can't. That changed it for me, and I thought, okay, I need to rethink this.
Yeah. It's a film that I'm looking forward to, actually. I can't get it out of my head since watching it a couple nights ago. I do want to rewatch it because one of the things that I kind of like about films, and it infuriates some people, is that it will present things to you. This film presents things to you and then veers away from it, and you're still trying to process it in your head, like, what was that? How does that work? And they're like, we're doing something else now, or the music is completely changed to something else, and I like that. I like having things to chew over in my head afterwards, and I don't know. I really dug this film. So, what did you end up giving Annette?
I gave it 3 stars. I was heading towards less than that, but I love the ending. I mean, it's not for everybody, but if you're looking for something completely different, check this one out. It's unlike anything you've ever seen before.
I like how you're gonna.
I mean, unlike anything.
Like I said, it was heading for the ground. You pulled the nose up at the last minute.
It was
a successful flight. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Right now my score for it is 4.5 stars. Like I really dug it. Part of it is that cast. I can't get enough of them. So I love it. I highly recommend checking it out. And you can throw tomatoes at me when you watch it and go, that was horrible. I was like, you're not wrong. But I enjoyed it.
And see the Sparks Brothers documentary. Yeah, it's good.
Our next film is a film called Reminiscence from director and writer Lisa Joy. It stars Hugh Jackman as a man named Nick Bannister. We have entered into this movie. We are in a bit of a post-apocalyptic world. A great flood has flooded Miami and leaves the city partially underwater. There are walls holding everything up, extreme heat, and everyone is kind of living their lives at night to stay away from this heat. Nick and his partner, a lady named Watts, played by Thandie Newton, run a company where people come in and get into their memory water tank that they have, which allows them to access and relive memories of theirs. These memories will appear as holographs, basically, which Nick and Watts can watch and help people and kind of guide them through their memories. And it's often rather inane. They tend to see some of the same people coming in, reliving the same memories. But it's when one dame comes walking into their office that things start to change. A lady named May, played by Rebecca Ferguson, comes in saying he lost her keys. Can you just help me find it? And Nick gets more than he's bargained with her. He becomes instantly smitten. He sees in her memories that she's a club singer for a gangster named St. Joe, and he wants to save her. And he keeps putting himself in the tank to try and find her again and get more clues about who this May is. She can't get out of my head. And this movie kind of turns into this amalgamation of a lot of familiar tropes and genres as Nick kind of finds himself under the spell of May. It felt very much like a mix of Maltese Falcon with some Inception in there.
Like the film noir of the 40s.
Yeah, she had to walk into my office.
Yeah, of all the places she had to walk into mine.
A lot of that. It felt very purposeful in them trying to do that, and then mix in like some Blade Runner.
Yep, Blade Runner.
Right. I mean, it felt like a lot of that, and there's a lot of subplots in here. There's one involving a billionaire developer who's kind of preying on poor people, and you have subplots with St. Joe and this guy Cyrus Booth, who becomes a factor late in the movie. I had a hard time staying focused. I actually I was checking my watch a lot and like, how much of this movie is left?
Yeah.
I was struggling with this film, and I really like Hugh Jackman. I like Thandie Newton, Rebecca Ferguson. Part of it was I felt like I didn't connect to anyone. I thought Watts was the only character that was halfway redeeming.
Yeah.
Everyone else was really just terrible people, and I just have a hard time connecting with them. But I don't know. It did not go the way I thought it was going to go.
Did you watch this at home or in the theater?
I watched this at home.
You watched it at home.
Yeah.
So I watched it at home too, and because of that, I stopped the stream multiple times, at least 4 or 5 times, and went back and rewound and went back to watch something over again because I was getting lost as to what was going on. I would hit a point in the film and I would go, what who is that and what is happening now?
Yep.
And like you, it got to the point where I started not to really care anymore.
Yeah.
I lost interest as to what was happening. This is a movie that looks great.
Yes, it does.
But underneath it, it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
It starts off as this mysterious love story, much like the noir movies of the 40s. Then it turns into this plot about this seedy underworld where these despicable characters and there's drug trafficking that's involved. And then I'm thinking to myself, am I watching a memory?
There's that too, because you don't know.
Is it the present time? I mean, is this something that we're seeing because somebody's in the tank?
Right. Yeah. Because all it takes is them cutting to somebody.
It never was clear to me.
Somebody
about
waking
that.
up, and you're like, oh, none of that actually happened. Cool.
Yeah. And the only times where the movie really piqued my interest was when Thandie Newton was on the screen.
Yeah.
And she tries to get Hugh Jackman to stop pursuing this quest
this
that he
isn't healthy.
has, his obsession that he has with the Rebecca Ferguson character. And she's very good in it. And I think it would have made for a much better story had they focused more on that relationship.
Yeah.
They touch on it a little bit, but they don't really flesh it out completely.
It felt like Lisa Joy was like, I'm going to meld all these different genres, and then I'm going to meld all these other different styles and storylines, and it never coalesced properly, and it just felt like it was all over the place. And yeah, I just kind of stopped caring.
And this is Lisa Joy's first feature film. This is certainly not going to be her last.
No.
She was one of the creators of the Westworld TV series on HBO. I don't know if you saw any of that, but you definitely see the influence there. Her brother-in-law is director Christopher Nolan.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So you see that influence.
Yes.
You mentioned Blade Runner. I don't know if we mentioned Minority Report.
It has some of that too. Yep.
Yeah.
Only instead of seeing the future, you're looking into the past.
Into the past.
Yep.
So there's a lot of different things influencing this film, but for me, it just never seemed to connect. And I like Hugh Jackman when he plays these seedy, dark, brooding characters. And I was just really hopeful for this to be better, because I like it when he plays these type of characters.
Sure. Yeah.
And it just didn't happen.
Didn't land. What did you end up giving Reminiscence?
I gave it 2.5 stars. If I have to get into a tank to relive a memory, it's not going to be of me watching this movie.
Nice.
It's going to be of something else.
I believe I gave it 2 stars. One of the things that drove me nuts about this movie is I really hate voiceover narration.
Yes.
There was a lot of voiceover narration in this movie. A lot of Hugh Jackman explaining what was going on. No thanks.
Yeah, and I know sometimes movies do that to try to fill in the holes.
Yeah, we'll give some exposition over the top.
Yeah.
Our last movie for this week, sir, what do you have for us?
Okay, well, it's on Netflix, and it is Sweet Girl, directed by Brian Mendoza. It stars Jason Momoa. Aquaman is Ray Cooper. He is a devoted father and husband. Everything seems to be going pretty well for Ray and his wife Amanda, played by Adria Arjona, and their daughter Rachel, played by Isabella Merced, until one day they learn that Amanda's cancer has returned. So things are looking pretty bleak. But then the doctor tells the family that there's a new drug that could potentially save her life. So now the outlook is good, until the family learns later on from the doctor that the pharmaceutical company has pulled the drug from the market. Apparently the CEO had paid the manufacturer to delay production. Amanda dies, and as you would expect, Ray vows to seek justice
Publicly
against Big Pharma. Yeah, the pharmaceutical CEO is on television during a news program. They take phone calls, and Ray calls in and says he's going to hunt the CEO down. Ray also learns that there's alleged criminal activity that could be taking place as part of all this. So the movie then turns into a typical father-daughter action film, where you've got the father seeking revenge against the evil corporation that has wronged him and his family, in this case, Big Pharma. He tells the daughter to stay home. Of course, she doesn't. They encounter a number of bad guys along the way who want to stop them. The police are trailing the father and the daughter along the way confides in the cop with the heart of gold to try to protect her father. I was okay with all of that. I thought Jason Momoa was good. I thought the actress, Isabella Merced, who played the daughter, was good. I thought their chemistry... You don't look too good on this one. But
yeah.
We'll get to
I'm listening to you.
All right. I thought the daughter was good. I thought their chemistry was fine. I mean, everything for me was fine. And then, bam! About 2/3 into the movie, there is an unbelievable plot twist, which obviously I can't reveal. I would love to, but I can't. And it was at that point where whatever investment I had in the movie was gone. It
Yeah.
pretty much all went downhill from there.
Yeah, there's a twist that made me cringe audibly. Like, oh gosh. And it's a very basic movie in plot.
Yeah, it is.
I think Jason Momoa is fine. He's fun to look at. He loves punching things. I don't think his character had a lot of nuance to him.
No, it didn't.
You know, he's got a special set of skills. It felt like this movie was a watered down version of what Liam Neeson's been doing for like the last 8-9 years.
Right.
Like you killed someone in my family. Now I'm gonna come kill you. And I did enjoy their chemistry and this and that, but that twist, it just drove me nuts because it felt like this was a first draft of a movie where you haven't exactly laid in everything that you want, and it's like, how are we going to end this thing? How about this? And like, yeah, that's fine for now until we really write it out properly. And it frustrated me to no ends.
And then again, you get to the end of the movie, you find out who the real villain is, which I thought was pretty cliche. Mm-hmm. And again, we can't see who that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was not happy with how it all turned out.
Yeah.
I would like to see Jason Momoa in more action films other than Aquaman. I know he's filming the sequel to that now. I thought I read the other day he's thinking about making a buddy cop film with Dave Bautista, which I think would be
great. I'm in.
Yeah. I think that would be great. But it's just that plot twist just really ruined it for me.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Come on,
you're not wrong. I was thinking you were going for a big score on this movie. As
no,
you were talking
it was going okay. I mean, it really was. I mean, it was fairly typical, but I thought, this isn't so bad.
There's a reason this movie was not in theaters, though.
No, you're right.
This movie landed right where it needed to be. You can watch it and look at your phone. You're not missing a whole lot with it because I had a rough time with it. What was your final verdict on Sweet Girl?
Oh, I gave it 2 stars. Like Jason Momoa, like the daughter, like their chemistry. Ready to give the movie the benefit of a doubt, and then that plot twist. Ouch.
Yeah. I was just hanging on through most of the movie until things started to unravel, and like I said, I was audibly groaning at the last half of this movie, last third of this movie. I ended up giving it 1.5 stars. It's a movie I just can't recommend. It's just. No.
I feel like it was like Netflix has like a good pile of movies, and it's got a not so good pile of movies, and that was on that not so good pile.
It is unfortunate for Jason Momoa. He's doing just fine. Don't worry about him.
He's fine.
Do not worry about Jason Momoa. Yeah. Let's take a look ahead, sir, at some films that are going to be coming out the weekend of September 2nd. We got 3 films. The first one is the big one from Marvel, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a film that I'm very excited for. I'm hearing good things. So that's the newest in the Marvel films, hoping to start tying things together for the next chapter of the Marvel Universe.
I don't know anything about that. So
that might be even better, though. Go in blind.
I need to go in and see it,
Check it out. Also, the weekend of September 2nd, we have a film called Karen, which is a crime thriller about a Karen. Of course, it's 2021. And finally, speaking of Michael Keaton, we have a film on Netflix called Worth, which is Michael Keaton in a Netflix film about 9/11. Just in time. Those will all be coming out the weekend of September 2nd. Before we go any further, though, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters, the Palace here in Sun Prairie. Thank you for sponsoring this program. We do appreciate a dream lounger and some popcorn on a nice summer day. Next week, I am going to be talking about films such as Candyman, Vacation Friends, He's All That. And I'm going to have a special guest who's making a debut on this program. Looking forward to that. But Steve, thank you again for joining me.
Thank you.
We were all over the place with these movies this week. I love it.
I'll be back for the next musical.
You better believe it. That's a promise. Well, until next week when I'm talking about Candyman and all kinds of goodness, I'm Jamison.
I'm Steve.
Thanks for watching.